I received my doctorate, 1965, educational sociology. 1965, there were exactly 13 black PhDs in educational sociology. I could have gone anywhere. 13 of us.
In the country?
In the country. Nationally. Pick a coast, East Coast, West Coast, Midwest. I was set. And then when I decided that I would step down, by that time I was assistant to the superintendent of Detroit Public Schools, and decided that I want to teach full time. Whitney Young wanted me to join the National Urban League as the director of education. And I said, no, I want to teach. And he said, that's where you should be. And that felt good coming from him. But Oklahoma, remember now, 13 of us, I mean supply and demand. Okay, here's George Henderson. I received a call from Professor Richard Hilbert, chairman of the Sociology Department. He said, Dr. Henderson, I heard that you're on the market and you're ready to be a full-time professor. Would you consider coming to Oklahoma? We have an associate professor position in education and with the College of Education. We have to put money together to get a decent salary. In my most arrogant northern voice, I said to him, Professor Hilbert, there's something that you need to know. He said, what? I said, I'm a Negro. He said, that's your problem. Would you like to come to Oklahoma? Anyone with a sense of humor like that certainly gets George's attention. Yeah. So I told Barbara, honey, I'm going to Oklahoma. I'm not going to take a job, but I then went to the Britannicas and I looked up Oklahoma because I didn't know what the heck it was. I knew about Oklahoma because of Prentice Gott, because on the radio I heard about this black guy running up and down and doing wonderful things. So I said, Barbara, I'm going to Oklahoma. I'm going to see the football field where Prentice Gott played, and I'm going to see Indians. And then I'm coming back and we're going to get serious about one of those other jobs. Well, my creator had a different reason for me going to Oklahoma. It wasn't about my decision. It wasn't. Honestly, it wasn't. Oklahoma, I had the largest lecture interview of any professor ever. I had individuals coming from the social and behavioral sciences and from the physical sciences, and you name a college or an academic discipline, they had a representative interviewing this guy from Detroit. 1967. 1967 is where the rioting erupted, the race riot. We lived 2 blocks from where the riot erupted, and they wanted me to talk about the riot, and they were not interested in me as a professor. And I truthfully wasn't interested in the university as a professor until, I'll get to the until in a moment. For some reason, I think I know the reason, when I accepted George Lynn Cross's formal invitation to come for a lecture interview, I put on the condition that I have 2 hours of free time with students. Why in the heck did I put that on there? But I did. After a series of interviews, the 2 hours with the students turned out to be 2 sociology students and 2 College of Ed students. And they were driving around showing me the other Norman. They said, there are poor people in Norman too, Dr. Henderson, and they showed me where the poor people lived. Norman prided itself in being an affluent community. The students knew better. And one of them said, we need you here. You understand education, you understand sociology, and we have courses on the books that nobody's ever really taught them. And if you teach them from a lived experience. And one of them, to seal the deal, says, Dr. Henderson, we know that you're going to get better offers in the University of Oklahoma. True. But we need you here, and also consider this. You're going to one of those other universities, you'll be a small fish in a big pond. You come here, you'll be a whale in this little pond. Yeah, appealed to me. Yeah, I'd be a whale here. Well, I tell myself that's the reason I accepted. It wasn't. I accepted because I didn't have a choice. I accepted because my creator sent me to this place called Oklahoma, and I firmly believe that. Mm-hmm. Why do I believe that? Would a sane man with a wife and 7 children and a mother-in-law take a $5,000 pay cut to come to Oklahoma? No. I was certifiably insane. But my Creator sent me there, and implicit in coming to Oklahoma, I got the message, you do your job, and I'll take care of the rest. And that bargain was kept. It was always enough money for my kids to do what they needed. But the other part of the deal in terms of the salaries and the consultings and the speaking, gosh, I had consultantships and I had extra money. Money wasn't an issue, it never been an issue for my kids. But what was an issue for them, this is my 53rd year here now, and I can say with a degree of pride and remorse, I've spent more time with other people's children than my own with their permission. Because what I came to do, I had to do face to face and not intellectually. And what I had to do meant coming to Oklahoma to prove that I was not an imposter as a civil rights leader. It meant that I would have to live what I was teaching, and that meant being away from my children at long periods of time. The true hero in George Henderson's story is Barbara Henderson. She made it possible to do the things that I've been given credit for doing. Actually, we did. Coming to Norman was a tale of two cities. No sane person would bring his family into a community that did not want people like him living here. This was once a sundown town, so why are you here, black man, with all of these babies? My Creator sent me here. But my Creator sent me here with the kind of mate that had far more strength than I. Barbara came, and we were subjected to things that no one has ever been subjected to coming to Norman since then. Garbage on the lawn, obscene phone calls at all hours, forbidding your children from answering the phone because of it. Cars egged. I didn't know what to do with egg on my car, so I got hot water and started to wash it off, ruin the paint. But I learned how to handle eggs after that. Police stopping me and asking me why in the heck I was in this neighborhood, especially at night, and they would follow me until I walked up to the door, put the key in, and opened the door and walked in, and then they would leave. People driving by our house, shouting obscenities, calling me everything except George. Why would I subject myself and my children to this? Because the children were really the wedge that allowed the community to grow in this family. My children found friends, and we had a university school then, and mostly college professors and staff members had their children in the university. That was a great place. So they had friends. So Norman for them was a place where they had friends. They knew about the other stuff happening, but their friends were with them. I had friends, the quote liberals at the university, they were with me. Barbara had Barbara. And the women who found her in this neighborhood and other neighborhoods went to her and said, anything that we can do for you, Barbara, we will do. How well did that work? This is my 53rd year here, and I'm usually introduced in Norman as Barbara's husband. Outside of Norman, Barbara's George's husband. Wife, I'm sorry. George, she could be that too. As I think about it. Yeah. It felt right.
Yeah.
For all of the good things that we had, they were overcoming maybe half the number of bad things. And you put it on the scales and you weigh it, it comes out unequal because equal on the side of good people. I had to be here. I had to come here. I had to come here because I spent all of my life living in an all-black neighborhoods, and I spent 10 years of my professional life advocating for integration in neighborhoods and churches and other places, and I didn't do that. 4 of my students, when I was an adjunct instructor at Wayne State University, were freedom riders, white students. I didn't do that. But I'm encouraging this equality, the social diversity and justice. And I didn't do those things, but I was preparing others to do those things. My Creator sent me here to prove it. Are you real? Are you sincere? Or are you just another imposter? My children brought me kicking and screaming into being real because this became home for them. my children also, and my grandchildren, and then my great-grandchildren, really tested how sincere are you when you say we need to accept all the people. And what about the LGBTQ people? Well, when I have them in my family, it sure looks different. What about people with disabilities? When one of your daughter has a disability, it looks a little different to you. I could go on and on and on. This wasn't talking theory about race. This was living race. It felt right to me. And I reflect on my career. The career that I've had, I would have paid someone to let me teach. And I was paid to do what I was born to do, to be a bridge.
This podcast was presented by the Oklahoma Hall of Fame, who've been telling Oklahoma's story through its people since 1927. Follow them online at oklahomahof.com and definitely on Instagram at oklahomahof. Catch you next episode. Cheers.